Clips, clips. And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well. And $19.95 plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell. Alrighty, booktubes. So I'm going to try and catch the top of our Press TV news. I searched. Google searched it and top link and got a Press TV stream since it's been off the mainstream media. I've not tuned into it as much for obvious reasons. It's just the streams are a wee bit dodgy as well, I'm finding out today. But there appears to be a couple of streams, Rumble, Odyssey, and straight off their own website. So, see if we can sort that out. Remember, let me just check this shit's happening. Yeah, it's happening. Wow. Mic check. But there appears to be. Yep. So, let's see what we got here. So, what time's that? 3 minutes to. So this is the end of the half hour. Did I have a timestamp? No, I don't. Is that one still working? I don't think it is. Let's see if we can get that one. Beautiful. Get it straight from the horse's mouth if it works, okay? And keep it there. Yeah, see, this is. Did I just fuck that up somehow or something? That's honestly what I mean, it just keeps coming and going, man. It's not as if there's people out there that want to prevent hopefully watching things with a slant at the moment. Now, you thought Al Jazeera was bad for dripping all the dead bodies in front of you. Wait till you check Press TV out. The little I've watched it today. So we'll wait for the top of the morning news to you. Top of the morning. Can't hear you, but it's all a bit quiet. Boom shakalaka, is it better now, bud? I wonder why they're not on YouTube. Get kicked off YouTube. Right.
We must not become part of South Africa's problem. We must remain part of their solution.
1 2 1 2 1 2.
Our solutions, our
it should be okay.
Damn it, we have pressed by that ugly white South Africa. Damn it, we have favorites in South Africa. The favorites in South Africa are the people who are being repressed by that ugly white regime. We have favorites.
I also want to say a word about the situation in Israel. The more we learn about the attack, the more horrifying it becomes. More than 1,000 innocent lives lost, including at least 27 Americans. These guys make, the more we learn about the attack, the more horrifying it becomes.
I'm getting confused. I've got so many fucking streams going on here. And this keeps... Let me know if the audio's better now, buddy. Good stuff. It would help if I moved my microphone. Prepared, mate. Seamless. Always prepared. Prepared to be prepared as always. Right, that one looks pissed, doesn't it? It keeps stopping and starting.
By backing the US-Israeli genocide in Gaza. Namibia says Germany is yet to atone for the 20th century genocide. The ICJ
fuck's this pish? Voice of default. Alright, it's just... it should be doing the top of the hour news. There we go. News headlines, y'all.
More Palestinians are killed in the Gaza Strip as Israel defies all international calls to stop its months-long deadly onslaught on the territory's civilian population. Islamic resistance in Iraq carries out a new drone attack on an Israeli military target, pledging to continue its operations until the Israeli genocide in Gaza comes to a halt. And Iran's Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian, who is in Pakistan, says Tehran and Islamabad are determined to step up their joint fight against terrorist groups at their borders.
It's becoming more and more and more and more self-evident that all, if not most, of all these Allah Akbar armies, whatever you want to brand them, and your average Abdul on the sand, doesn't he know what's going on? Somebody's waved religious text at him and he's just
Thanks so much for being with us. And of course, in the already devastated territory, 40 more people have lost their lives in fresh strikes on Gaza City, as well as the Nusrat camp in the center of the Strip. Israel's genocidal war is now in its 115th day. The total
a minute or two before the old genocide gets rocked out.
600 people. Tens of thousands have also been injured, and apart from the casualties, the relentless attacks have inflicted...
Not only because the stream is shite, but I'm going to try and no pause this because I need to get out of Dodge for 3 bells. And I can ramble on like a madman.
Have lost one or both parents in Gaza since...
See, man, this
October the 7th.
Isn't anything to do with my stream or anything like that. Everything.
Armed faction reports that it shot down...
BBC stream's absolutely fine. That's absolutely going fine. That's going absolutely fine.
Kids have lost
even the Al Jazeera one's going fine.
October the 7th. Meanwhile, a Palestinian armed faction reports that it shot down an Israeli aviation base in the southern occupied Palestinian. It's also said that it bombed one or both parents in Gaza since October the 7th. Meanwhile, a Palestinian armed faction reports that it shot down in Gaza the Mujahideen Brigade Israeli aviation base in the south. We're going to cross over an Israeli aviation base in the southern occupied Palestinian territory.
I've had too much mushrooms this morning, man. Is this glitching all over the gaff?
Abu Musaba,
in Gaza City. It reminds the people with the first day of this continuous
if the Odyssey streams it any better.
The intensity and the prevalence of those airstrikes. We are talking about continuous Israeli attacks reaching the residential buildings and the Palestinian houses inside Gaza City.
Seems a wee bit better, doesn't it?
The Israeli airstrike actually targeted at Tufah neighborhood in Gaza City, claiming the lives of at least 25 Palestinian civilians, in addition to multiple airstrikes and attacks reach different and multiple Palestinian residential houses and buildings and inside the cities. You are talking about intensifying attacks hitting Gaza City in a way that the Israeli occupation forces need to push the people to leave and to displace the city. And this actually what is happening right now, as
the stream's holding a hell of a lot better.
Dispatched leaflets demanding the people in the western parts of Gaza City to evacuate the city. We are talking about hundreds of thousands of the Palestinian people who are still there despite the continuous unabated attacks targeting Gaza City. Now the Israeli occupation forces demanding them to leave to the south. And this actually is going in line with the Israeli relentless attacks also in the south, as the Israeli occupation forces claim that the southern part of Gaza Strip is still safe. As you know that yesterday the Israeli occupation forces committed an appalling massacre here in the central area of Gaza Strip after killing 40 Palestinian civilians. who were taking shelter in
it's kind of
multiple
horrible to
residential
say,
buildings
but
and houses
yeah,
here
the-
in
the-
Zawaida
the-
refugee camp, in Zawaida neighborhood near Deir
military-
al-Balah city. So we are talking about
the militant
continuous Israeli massacres committed left, right, and center against the
Israel
Palestinian,
folk out there.
against the Palestinian people. According to
this
the
is
spokesperson
exactly
of
kind of what
Gaza's
they
health
want, if
ministry,
you
that,
understand. You
the
couldn't get
number
any better,
of the
like,
Palestinian civilians
imagery
who were
for-
killed
for,
over the last 24 hours
propaganda.
actually has risen to 215 Palestinian civilians, in addition to 300 injuries after the Israeli occupation forces perpetrated 14 massacres against the Palestinian civilians across all areas of Gaza Strip. And it's noteworthy that there are many civilians are still trapped and missing under the rubble of those destroyed buildings and those destroyed facilities, as the self-defense crews are still unable to reach those people due to
let's
the
say
lack
those
of the
figures
needed
are fixed, right? Even if
necessities and
it's
needed
half
equipment,
true, it's
actually.
still
And let me say that
fucked up, man.
the number of the Palestinian people who have been killed and murdered since the beginning of this onslaught on Gaza actually has risen to 26,637 Palestinian civilians, in addition to 65,000 and 387 injuries.
shit
So
to
we are
watch, man.
talking about continuous fatalities of the Palestinian people, and these numbers are increasing exponentially.
And,
as
well,
the
of
Israeli
course, I
occupation
think
forces
I
intensified their
think it's
attacks over the
self-evident
last
that
24 hours.
Iran
and,
is,
apparently we are in front of more massacres
sorry,
yet to be
Press
committed.
TV
And this actually
is biased.
in the meantime, we can say that the humanitarian conditions are still deteriorating, as the Israeli occupation forces still cement their grip on different areas of Gaza Strip, particularly when it comes to Khan Yunis city. As you know, that the Israeli attacks are still underway there. Many appeals were released by the Palestinian Red Crescent Society, demanding the international human rights to interfere to stop this kind of the brutal aggression of the Israeli occupation forces, targeting the Palestinian hospitals, particularly Al-Amal Hospital in Khan Yunis city, which is, by the way, which has been circumvented and flanked by the Israeli occupation forces on the ground, preventing any entry of the basic humanitarian needs and the basic medical needs to the hospital. So we are talking about the same scenario repeated and reiterated on a daily basis.
That's
Since
ironic,
beginning of
the same
this onslaught
scenario
till this moment,
repeated and
we
reiterated.
still have less than a week.
This
and
is
we,
why
will have
this is one of the reasons why, as a human being, I had to tap out for watching all this shit and getting emotionally involved and attached and all that. Number one, what the fuck can I do about it? Number two, a wise rhymer called Roberto, also known as Roberto Rhymes, once said, "You can't fucking save anybody else if your boat's got holes in it," you know what I mean? Oh, quite. The dead bodies are away.
Now we're going to cross over to France, as we're getting live
Yes.
images coming in from there, as you can see.
What are they
images are
protesting about
dealing
today?
with the farmers there, of course, and their strike.
This is who Tommy
and
Robinson was
what is
getting jealous of.
happening on the ground. I'm not sure if we still have those live images. If we're going to cross over to France right now. But
The
perhaps
farmers
later
have
on
came
we
out and
can,
said their
get
goals to
those
starve
images in
the
again, because of what is happening,
Parisians,
of course, in France and other parts
people
of
from
Europe.
Paris.
The strikes by the farmers, hopefully we'll be able to cover that a little bit later in this news broadcast or a later broadcast. Meanwhile, Israeli forces have carried out fresh
Back to
raids on
Israel.
several areas of the occupied
Fuck
West Bank,
France!
killing at least 5
Fucking frog munching
Palestinians.
fuckers!
2
Get them
Palestinians
to
were
fuck.
killed
Let's
in
get back to
Israeli
fucking
incursion in
Jewageddon,
South
man.
Al-Khalil. The regime also carried out a separate raid into Jenin, killing another Palestinian. The fourth victim of the Israeli violence was a student who was killed by regime forces in Bethlehem.
Right, if people haven't
Another
heard my
Palestinian
crazy
was shot dead during
conspiracy
a military
theory.
raid in Silwat. Israel has carried out raids in
I think this
occupied
whole
West Bank
fucking
almost on a
Israel-Palestine
daily
thing
basis
is
since the regime
orchestrated
began its
by
onslaught
Christians
on the
so
Gaza
that they
Strip on
can
October the
maintain
7th. The acts of
free
aggression
passage
have
to
left over
Jerusalem,
370
the Church of the Holy Sepulchre,
Palestinians dead. in the West
go there
Bank.
unmolested. because they don't mind using the Jews, the
We were
whole
earlier
religion,
joined by
because
our
they hate the Jews for
correspondent,
killing the
Monica
baby
Andrew,
Jesus.
who gave us more details on the Israeli raids into the occupied West Bank.
hell.
Let's take a listen.
It's relentless. If this is the first time you're watching this today, it's alright. But see, if you just like shift through a few news channels in the morning, it's just relentless fucking
of the
death.
refugee camp of Jenin, and they also stormed the Al Hadaf neighborhood, and at least one Palestinian has been arrested by the Israeli forces. During this military raid, Israeli troops also stormed the village of Al Yamoun. In Al Yamoun, clashes had erupted between Palestinians and Israeli forces. This is what the residents of Al Yamoun have said. And at least one Palestinian has been seriously wounded. Later, this young Palestinian man, 21-year-old Thaer Hammo, succumbed to his injuries, and he was, of course, seriously wounded and transferred to a small clinic there in the Jenin area, and the doctors later said that this young man has succumbed to his injuries. During the military raid to Jenin, Israeli forces have caused severe destruction in the infrastructure. The Israeli forces destroyed also some parts of homes during this military raid. The main destruction was in the infrastructure of the roads, all the streets leading to the refugee camp of Jenin, as well as in the neighborhoods of the Jenin refugee camp.
I'm 42 now. How many times has that shit happened in my lifetime
the
now?
Syrian capital Damascus leaves
I had to tap out. I've been so invested in that.
The attack
Save
targeted
myself,
a
'cause
neighborhood near the
I'm not
city of the
knacking to
Zainab
save the
Shrine in
world,
southern
unfortunately.
Damascus. According to a Syrian military source, the strikes were launched from the direction of occupied Golan Heights. Local media says Syrian air defenses were activated, but a residential building was hit. Tehran has denied reports that the building belonged to Iran's military advisors or any casualties inflicted on Iranian nationals. Israel repeatedly targets Syria with missiles and warplanes. Well, the Islamic resistance in Iraq says it has carried out a fresh attack on Israeli targets in the occupied Palestinian territories. In a statement, the group said it launched a drone strike on an Israeli military target at dawn on Monday. Now, the Islamic resistance in Iraq says it will continue to hit enemy strongholds. There are no words on possible damage or casualties yet. And in a separate incident on Sunday, the U.S. said 3 of its troops were killed in a drone strike on a military base straddling the border between Jordan and Syria. The U.S. Central Command says at least 25 service members were also injured. U.S. President Joe Biden has blamed the resistance groups in Iraq and Syria for
What
the
I noticed,
attack,
right?
but there has been no claim of responsibility.
It's all
so
your
far.
Abdul armies under a different 100 different names, popping up
Iran
left,
has
right,
rejected
centre,
its
Daesh,
accusation
ISIS,
that it had a
ISIL,
role in the deadly
fucking
attack on a
Hezbollah
US
A,
base in
Hezbollah
Jordan,
B.
saying this is a plot by those that have an interest in dragging the U.S. to a new conflict in the region. The Foreign Ministry spokesman said in his weekly presser that the plot is hatched by those who seek to cover up their failure by provoking the U.S. to expand the current tensions. Nasser Kanani said Tehran does not welcome any escalation in the region. He added that Tehran is not involved in resistance groups' decision-making on how to defend themselves against acts of aggression, nor how to support Palestine. Kanani reiterated that an immediate ceasefire in Gaza can pave the way for a return to peace in the region. Mariam Saleh, Press TV's correspondent in Lebanon, says Hezbollah has targeted Israel's Al-Mutala site and other locations inside of the occupied territories with precision-guided missiles.
Well, we've had several positions. We've had Birkat Risha, for example, Mitat, Jalal Alam. Those were 3 of the significant barracks that were hit. Also, the Nakura seaside post was also targeted by Hezbollah. And one of the footage, I believe, that you have shown how the precise rockets and have targeted directly the espionage devices for the Israelis in Nakura. What is is new in this chapter of confrontation is that Hezbollah has uncovered the use of the rocket of Falak 1, which is also very significant, in addition to the extensive use of Al-Burqan rocket. Last night after midnight, two simultaneous operations took place by Hezbollah against two different posts where they used the Burqan rocket as well. We also have continuously on a daily basis complaints from the Israeli settlers saying that what they are hearing is something that is much louder and something that is much more...
Right, I want to stop it there for a second and get on to UFOs. That's right, people. UFOs. Now, as you hear, those servicemen, those troops, American troops that were killed in Syria or Jordan, do the hokey cokey, who knows? It was a kamikaze drone. It was a drone, and I think the idea is it's not even got a payload or anything as such. It just crashes into its target, thus the drone being the bomb, the missile. And then, well, this sounds strange. Well, I don't know if you can remember how many years. This was 3 years ago. I think it was. There was even some stuff older than this, and it was like the Disclosure Project get a hold of this footage, and they're like, "Oh, look, this proves UFOs. Look, the fucking fighter jet, fucking pilots, fucking UFOs." And then it was even on Fox News. You always get your news from there. That's a good place. And then this dude Thunderfoot, who I mysteriously got unsubscribed to his channel because he's been putting out stuff recently and I've just not been seeing it. Anywho's, he goes in and with the power of knowledge and science and shit shows you that what they're filming here. And remember the Disclosure Project had a big press conference about this. It was like proof. And this guy, through understanding what all the instruments are saying, you know, all the data that's on the screen there, your longitude, latitude, miles, blah, 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 so on and so forth, the scroll, you can tell it's a bird, right? But what's this happening? The bird is flying really, really fast, and this camera, which looks like it's attached to a fucking warplane, can track it, right? What else flies like a bird very, 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 very fast? Fucking drones, right? So this is the US military without fucking swinging their dick. They're saying, look what we can do. Because you better believe that people with brains and not just buying into the UFO thing, watch this stuff in Iran, in Russia, so on and so forth. And it's the US military going, look what we can do now. We can track drones. They can track a bird. They can track drones. I.e., if they can track it with these systems, they can lock a missile onto it and take it down. As it's transpiring, not all the time. Seems like pretty fair amount of damage is getting done by these suicidal drones.
Scarier than they've ever witnessed.
Just a theory.
In the past, it's not a normal Katyusha, it's not a normal anti-tank or anti-armor missile. It's something greater than that. This is what those settlers are saying.
Oh, fuck.
Of course, we're following that story closely, and we'll let you know.
Oh, yes, I love this shouty guy.
Meanwhile, to Yemen, where the army there says that
yeah, man,
yet another operation against an American vessel in the Red Sea following a string
he's
of
my
similar
favourite
attacks
shouty
over the
Arab.
past weeks. Army spokesman Yahya Sadi said the Louis B. Puller Expeditionary Mobile Base a naval strike missile in the Gulf of Aden. Sadi said the vessel provided logistical support to the American forces in their attacks on Yemen. The spokesman said the operation was carried out in response to those strikes and in solidarity with Palestinians. He stressed that operations against vessels owned by or bound for Israel will also continue until Israel stops its onslaught on Gaza.
Right, so... Well, anyway.
Well, earlier we asked Yemeni activist and political commentator Hossein al-Bakhati to share his thoughts about the recent operations against U.S. vessels. Let's take a listen at what he had to say.
think when
This
I
actually
paused it and
exactly
restarted
what
it, it
Yemeni
skipped a
army has
good
been
bit.
saying, that the expansion of the attack in the Red Sea, the one who's responsible for it is the president of the UK and United States, and the attack against Yemen. And we remember, since those attack which United States claim,
I can't
that
believe
they
this
are
channel ever
actually
get took
obstruct
off of the
or
UK
to deter
Council
Yemeni
TV.
capability to target ship, is actually shows exactly the opposite. Since the strike against Yemen, Yemeni has actually targeted several commercial ship belonging to the United States and UK, and we remember in the last 2 or 3 days they have targeted an oil tanker that is owned by a British company. And the only demand that Yemeni still insist to stop all this attack is to stop the genocide in Palestine, especially in Gaza, to lift the blockade, to allow food and medicine to enter Gaza. And we've seen clearly that the Zionist state of Israel is not stopping, because as long as they are getting financial help, weapons and ammunition and all type of help they need from
Just
United
like
States
Ukraine.
and UK, they will continue their attack, because I believe that Yemeni army actually will extend its attack to target all commercial ships to the UK and to the United States. If they are not gonna stop attacking Yemen and stop the genocide in Gaza, this means that the Red Sea
All
will be
commercial
blocked,
ships to the UK and the United States.
none of their ships will
I
actually
thought he
be
said
able,
only
to
vessels
enter the
bound
Red
for
Sea.
Israel.
So they should be the one who will stop the genocide against the Palestinian people.
Tehran and Islamabad are taking further steps to fight against terrorism.
Interesting.
That's according to Iran's Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian.
Using the West's Abdul armies against them.
Today, the two high-ranking delegates and delegations of
Calling them
Pakistan
out.
and Iran,
Like, okay,
we agreed
terrorists,
together
we're
in
going to
order
take out the
take
terrorists.
further actions as soon as possible when it comes to border security, necessity of fighting against terrorism, expansion of trade, commercial and economic cooperation, establishment of the joint border markets, and opening of the border crossing, as well as establishment of the free trade zones.
Pakistan and the BRICS.
Amir Abdullahian made the remarks at a joint press conference with his Pakistani counterpart in Islamabad. The top diplomat said Iran and Pakistan will use joint cooperation to prevent terrorists from endangering the security of the two nations. He noted that Tehran considers Pakistan's security as its own and that of the whole region. For his part, Jalil Abbas Jalani said the two countries have agreed to establish a high-level consultation mechanism to fight terrorism. Pakistani top diplomat also said Tehran and Islamabad will also take measures to improve their bilateral economic relations. Well, several European capitals have witnessed rallies in solidarity with Palestinians as Israel pushes its genocide in the Gaza Strip.
It's no thousands, man. I've no clocked the depth of it.
In the Danish capital of Copenhagen, protesters condemned Israel's atrocities in the besieged Gaza Strip and called for an end to the genocide. Also in Spain, people marched in Madrid to denounce the onslaught on Gaza. Demonstrators voiced support for South Africa's case against Israel at the International
news.
Court of Justice. They also
Where's
carried
the
flags of
football news,
Palestine
man?
and
Come
South
on.
Africa and chanted pro-Palestinian slogans. Countries across the world have seen mass pro-Palestinian rallies since Israel began its deadly aggression on the Gaza Strip on October the 7th. And with that, it brings us to the end of this World News Bulletin. Right here, Press TV. Thanks so much for staying with us.
No, there we go. That one
World
came
News
back to
Bulletin.
life.
Right here, Press TV. Thanks so much for staying with us.
But I think noteworthy. November last year. When was this have to go out? Was there a war? Oh, right, aye, right, it was after. Forgot it'd been that long. Crazy. So, in times gone by, all these players and whatnot would have been clambering to try and get in on the West's economic blocks. You know, they were the most fruitful. But now there's a new sheriff in town, if you want to say that, in some of these countries. Are alright, Shug, my man, how you doing? A lot of these countries are looking to gear towards the BRICS economic bloc, away from the G7, the G8, D12, Detroit, all the good ones. The old Western blocs, and they see all these emerging markets with millions, if not billions, of fucking customers, and they're like gearing towards that. Think of the UK's population, was it 66, 67, 68 mil? 66, or it's 60s. We're fuck all. Anyway in the world, man, compared to some of these countries, India, China, Indonesia, you're the ones that popped in mind. Mexico, America. I think even Canada. What did about? About? That's my Canadian impression. About? Everything's about, so I can only really, like, when if I go into a shoe shop in Canada, I just need to go, about? I can only order boots, but apparently you only need boots in Canada, because they'll be like, about? I shall go out of here, mate. Sorry, I need to be somewhere and be someone, and then get to the gym later, I'm hoping. Let's see how that pans out. But I thought that was a wee worthwhile exercise, just seeing the shite for the other side. You know, and propaganda doesn't need to be lies. Spinning this shit in it. Anywho, get it, got it, good. If you enjoyed that, stick a wee thumbs up, bell and sub up so you get notifications and shit for the live stuff. I watched a YouTube video on how to be a successful live streamer. It was too candy ass for me. But the first thing they did say before I get sick of it and turned it off was pick a time, a regular time, and stick to it. I used to do that kind of. So I'm aiming for Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock. That's going to be my goal. Tuesday at 9s. Get it? Got it. Good. Cat cheese. Have a good one. No cats or cheese or Abduls were harmed in this filming. That's a fact. Clips. And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well. And $19.95 plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell.